get it spun up yet? Wait a minute, where's my agenda there?
You're off the hot seat for a little while.
He gets to take a break. Why does it say regular meetings? So it's not
That's
the
the
agenda.
minutes from the last meeting in July.
Yes, it is. Always throws me. Now,
I'm ready.
well, I thought you did. I didn't hear you say I'm ready.
I did say I'm ready, but you started.
Exactly.
All right. Good afternoon. It's Bill Canada, Chairman of the Board of Health, Custer County Board of Health. It's Thursday, September 29th, 2022. 1 o'clock. Actually, it's now 1:30 after the hour. Because Jennifer didn't let me know. Okay. Anyway, please silence your phones if you haven't done it already. This meeting's being recorded by Zoom and is it YouTube still?
Yep.
All right. Both and then we're ready to begin. So please stand and let's say the pledge. And Dr. Brown, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir. Okay, let's have a roll call
Bill Canada,
here.
Kevin Day,
Present.
Tom Flowers,
Present.
Dr. Brown,
Present.
Clint Smith,
Present.
and myself, Jennifer Cree. And then we have Dorothy Karsten, sanitarian. Yes.
And
Peggy Martin.
That's for an introduction. I'm not supposed to know that. Yeah.
well, nobody told me we're introducing everybody here. Anybody online?
Patty.
Okay, and then for those that are online, we'll introduce you as your comment if you do. Okay, thank you. And so I get now, what is this introductions here? We got Peggy Martin here already. So we have,
The other two will not be coming today. I'm gonna try to do them one at a time.
oh, I see. Okay. Wonder what it was. Okay. All right, any amendments to the agenda, anybody? Guys?
No. And I did not actually receive an agenda. I got the.
Oh,
the
you did
minutes
too. I
from
bet
last
she's
month.
really sharp doing it. Mine was under the minutes. Tom, you have a comment?
Yeah. That's true.
Are we gonna formally introduce Peggy since?
We might as well because
Give her
she's a
15
part-time
minutes.
RN, does vaccinations and other good nurse duties. You wanna tell us a little more?
I would like her to tell you about herself, about her history, what she brings to our county that we really haven't had.
Okay, go ahead.
Peggy Martin.
Been a nurse for 47 years. 11 of that was spent in leadership. 9 of it was spent in upper leadership as a nursing director for Banner Health in the Phoenix metro area. I also had responsibility over employees in the Colorado facilities that we have as well. I have a master's degree in nursing with a subspecialty in education. I have taught at community colleges nursing. And then I was the coordinator for Banner Health's Critical Care Academy across all 6 states that Banner had a presence in. So managing the education for all their ICU and progressive care nurses.
You got a lot of credentials.
I used to, I have left most of them go. I retired in 2018 and had intended on staying retired, and then the pandemic hit. My daughter is also a nurse, so it gave me a little perspective on what working nurses were going through during the pandemic. And I realized that the only way we were going to get people vaccinated is if retired nurses stepped up and did it.
That's right.
And so I started out volunteering with the health department, volunteered for 8 months, got my Colorado license straightened out because I had moved here from Arizona, so I would do that first. And then started working. a
How
year
long ago did you move up here?
About 3 years ago, a little
You've been
3.5
here
years
and how
ago.
many, you've been volunteering for a year now or more?
I volunteered from January through August of 2021. And then in August of 2021, they offered me a part-time position.
Well, welcome
Well, thank
to the
you.
meeting.
And yeah, there's a lot of needs in the county, especially from a health standpoint. And I've done program management across multiple states, so
Good, so
I
you're,
can understand some of the troubles of pulling those pieces together when you deal with multiple agencies. And in my case, it was multiple hospitals across multiple states dealing with multiple nurse practice acts and other different radiology practice acts.
great.
Because things differ.
Where's your home?
Define home.
Where do you currently go to bed at night?
Oh, Rosita Hill.
That's what I.
That's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah. I should have said, where do you eat your dinner?
Yeah, because I guess I consider myself more from Arizona than any place else.
That was
I
your,
lived there for 35 years, but I was actually born in Massachusetts, raised in Pennsylvania,
and
lived in a lot of
we're in Arizona.
Phoenix metro
Phoenix,
area.
Arizona.
The East Valley, if you're familiar with Phoenix.
Very
metro
familiar. My
area.
wife's from Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
Graduated high school, and the first snowstorm she ever saw was when we got married and she was up here.
You know where Apache Junction
And
is,
she
way
got
out in the
stuck.
East Valley?
Yeah.
I lived at the base of the Superstition Mountains.
Okay, yeah, know where those are. Thank you.
It's a beautiful area.
You have anything else to say, Dr. Brown, about this nurse?
I'm well blessed to have her here. She teaches patients as she deals with them. She teaches staff. She brings in
Okay, good.
all sorts of educational materials and things that are of interest to all of us that we have to watch
Well,
out.
thanks for bringing her over then. I'm looking forward to the other two.
Yeah, I actually pulled an article this week on the effects of high elevation on aging.
I can tell you that personally.
It's an international study.
You didn't have to pull it. You just asked questions.
But we are compared to Nepal and some of the other.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
Switzerland
Yeah,
and
that's
Colorado.
neat.
Those were their 3 research sites, were the state of Colorado. They wanted people that lived consistently above 6,000 feet.
Yeah, well, that's great. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, we'll move on.
Thank you very much, Peggy.
All right.
Very, very nice. Oh, you're gonna leave. You don't want to
I
stay
am
for
gonna
this
leave.
pain
No.
or for this?
Getting paid, you gotta go back to work.
And I'm paying.
Doggone you. All right, thank you for being here.
Peggy.
Any amendments to the agenda, anybody?
No.
Nothing here, nothing you, Kevin?
No.
Okay, let's approve the minutes. I saw the minutes, they look very good, but albeit late. Whose fault was that?
Do you see my stink eye?
Yeah. Not any.
Exasperated.
I am exasperated.
Anybody have any changes to the minutes?
I'm sure they accurately reflect what transpired in July. I would move to approve the minutes, July 6th.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion, or do we don't need discussion? All in favor, say aye. Kevin and Tom, okay, aye. We're good. Okay, Dr. Brown, it's time for a board of health report. And before you do that, anybody here, Tom, do you have anything to add?
No,
Kevin?
No, I'm good.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do Dorothy first, the sanitary.
We are.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know, you don't have it that way. It's board of health report.
I have Board of Health.
It's okay. What we do is we just have our own reports and we didn't have anything to say. So next up is the sanitarian report.
Sorry.
it should, next time I could say Board of Health members.
Yeah.
Members,
Yeah.
thank you.
That would make it a little easy.
Yes. Thank you.
I don't know where you've been getting these minutes to copy from.
I
But I think it was the previous admin assistant. All right, good. All right, sanitarian, have you got anything to say today?
Yeah, I do. Um,
Go ahead.
I have, just wanted to share with everybody. We currently, that I know of, have 68 parcels out there that do not have a septic. Has a dwelling, does not have a septic.
And how did you get that? How did you find that out?
Well, this is stuff that I got from the assessor's office and I asked Kristen, how did we get this compilation of
Are
parcels?
they
And
lived in, or they just?
as far as I know, they're lived in, some are part-time, some are full-time, some are campers, some are fifth wheels.
And what you're saying is they have not gotten an approved system in the system. We don't know where they had one that they built some other way. Right?
Yeah, they do not have an approved
That's been.
on-site waste system.
Okay.
That I'm aware of. So this information originally came from my department. It was tagged on the files upstairs in the assessor's office to let us know anytime that the property is sold, is my understanding. And I don't know how I haven't had anything come back to me other than this stack, because Chris and I were talking about it, and she's like, well, there's a lot more out there than what you realize, and this is what we know. And so I asked her for this compilation of papers, and one
So
of
they've
them
been
is
known for quite a while, but we've
Apparently.
not done anything about it.
Apparently,
For
yes.
whatever reason.
And I do have, one that I will be following up on, quicker than the rest. One is noted, and I can't explain why we haven't done anything with it, is, that there's suspected that it's leaking the leach field is leaking into the well. Or has,
Because of what, how was that?
I don't
It's
know.
noted on
It's noted on
in the
the red
assessment.
tag that's upstairs in the assessor's office. So that came originally from my office, and that was noted on the flag
So how many did you say there were?
at 68.
How many are red tagged?
I think they all are. It's just red tag saying,
That
and
they're
maybe
not
that's
on the
not the
system.
right word. They're tagged up there saying, if this property sells, let us know.
Okay, so
They must be
there is a
notified when
tag
property
on it.
sells.
From your point of view, it would be tagged as a sanitarian issue on one of them,
Definitely. Really, they all are, because
because they're not in the system, but I'm just looking at it from a health point, a safety point of view initially on them. And then we don't know if they're not legal, and if they put in right, and are they working? Not polluting the water.
as far as I know, none of the 68 that I have here have an septic system, an approved septic system. That's what I'm being told.
Okay, so what are you suggesting then? We need to go do give us an option here. It sounds like we need to verify it.
Most definitely. And I told Kristen I guess I'm giving you guys an update to know, this is just what I know of. So I'm sure there's more out there that we don't know of. But I'm gonna start with pulling it up in our system. I'll pull their file, validate that, no, we do not have anything on record. Possibly even go do a drive-by to see, is it even being occupied?
Well, that's right. It's more than a drive-by means knock on the door and talk to them.
If they're available, yes, and I do a lot of that to just kind of get some answers. Opposed to sending out a certified letter. If I can't get a hold of anybody, then I'll send out a certified letter, and I kind of want to pose this more as, this is the information we have. We don't show that you have an approved septic system. Is that the case? Because I'll also tell you what I've discovered. There's a purple box in my office that has septic systems from the 70s, but we can't read them. So some of this could be that, I'm hoping.
Are they houses that exist? Do we know that maybe some of them are gone or destroyed, or we don't know until you actually
It's so old and it was the carbon copy paper that you can't read to determine what parcel that particular septic.
Can you read the
paperwork goes
addresses
with.
and all?
Hmm?
Can you read anything on them?
Well, Carlin, was sitting there because we were looking at it together when I discovered the box. And she started reading through it. She could pick up some based on some information. She was like, I know this property. So I think if her and I spend a little bit of time, more so her, because she knows all of the different family names from back then and probably what area they lived in, I think we can narrow some of it down, but probably not all of it.
Is there a way electronically today that the approved systems without a lot?
Electronically, what about it?
Meaning, rather than you going into the files and saying, well, this is a legitimate one, and then, so I don't have to worry about it. In other words, the way to kind of narrow down what those might be.
I think we can go and manually pull the files and look. I don't have anything electronically that would tell me that. I can look on our current permit system and see first.
That's 4,500 or at least 4,000 residences. That's a piece of the property. I would
Yeah.
think. Wow. So
Maybe.
what do you think, Dr. Brown?
Well, anything that is in real close position to a well, to me, that would be the first thing I would go after.
Yes.
Check that well and see if it's contaminated. I mean, that has to be done.
Yeah.
As soon as possible. And anything else where we can see in a valley, and they're up here in the stream, and water system tends to be like some of those that I went out with the sheriff.
Yeah.
Those really need to have that water supply tested for the sake of all the neighbors and themselves, not just themselves.
Yeah.
So, or to send it in, check for bacteria. I mean, there are some obvious bacteria we need to check for. And we do have a lab there in Pueblo.
That we are.
We do. I got a confirmation today.
Okay,
Okay, so
Wonderful.
we can do that. We don't have to send it to Denver and get it done. And we have.
that's wonderful.
That's a good thing to do. Just sort of begs the question, when did we, as a county, decide that outhouses were gone? I roughly know when that was, and when they had cesspools instead of septic tanks and a leach field, and then they went to cesspools and leach field. Some of that was probably grandfathered in. It's why they're probably asking on the sale of the property that when you would check it, because they were operating and then tell you had a problem.
CDPHE changed it, that they're requiring septics, no more outhouses.
Right,
or
I knew they
anything.
did that.
You
So-
have to have a septic system.
If they're
on
outhouses.
site.
But all right, so let's say that I know there's no outhouses now, but the old, well, for example, I know in the Macy subdivision, they had little 50-gallon barrels that they made. And then they had a pipe going out of it, or in some cases, just some cinder blocks and let it leach out. That's a septic tank in the day. And that's what people did, and they were on 100-foot lots. So I guess the only way that you would, without going and knocking on every door in the county, that's probably why they put in, if it's sold, fix it.
Mhm.
I guess, I don't know, what, that kind of begs the question, what should we do?
And I think there may be some situations like that that we have to look at individually. I think there's a lot of them here that just are not.
Hmm. A lot of them are on these, part-time people coming up from Kansas and from Texas and other things, and they're here for 4 or 5 weeks and they're gone. That's why the 50-gallon barrels were.
I talked to one guy because Dorothy and I talked about the composting toilets, and she helped me understand what some of the laws are here in Colorado specifically. When people come in for a day or two to work on their properties and they have a storage shed there, to me, that's not a residence. If they are living here part-time, I don't know what part-time is legally. But 2 days a month does not constitute to me a residence, but that's, not
Tax
the
purposes,
decision.
it's 6 months.
Yeah, for tax purposes, you're a resident 6 months. But to require people who come in a couple days a week to have a leach field and a septic tank and so on, to me, is above and beyond the pale. So to me, because I know, because I lived for 4 years on my property up in Canada, where we had 3 acres and we had composting toilets, and that's all we had. And we had gray water, and we ran it through 53 feet of wash rock, and it was pure.
Well, we used to have gray water out of our kitchen till 1963.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of the state of Colorado's law
Right.
regulation than ours.
That's true.
That's the way I understand.
Maybe you ought to
it.
look into what the law actually says. Is it requiring everybody to get well, or is it requiring, how they had to figure it out when they made it carte blanche? You
They
couldn't make
can-
it retroactive.
They can have a septic tank that get pumped.
I understand that, but when did they grandfather all existing houses or not?
It doesn't read that it's
Does not say.
grandfathering anyone in.
Not say that.
I find it interesting that we can publish a list of everybody in the county that doesn't pay their taxes.
But we can't.
Maybe we can
Yeah.
publish a list of everybody in the county that doesn't have a septic system.
We have here, I'll
Gotta
just,
be able to get in.
the local board of health may permit incinerating, composting, and chemical toilets. I'm quoting here. From the regulation 43 on-site water wastewater treatment systems regulation, section 43.12.E.1. The use of incinerating, composting, or chemical toilet will not reduce the required size of the septic field. So if you're gonna have a septic field, you better have, as Dorothy and I talked about, you better have more than an acre. Because otherwise your house may take up too much space to be able to run your field through, depending on percolation and all these other things.
Then they can get an engineered system or a vault system. But in my opinion, a vault system is not very economical.
Depends on how often they use it, you're right.
Right,
It's,
correct.
Top part time.
Probably personal choice. But do we have to permit those? They have to come in and get a,
yes.
Vault.
and I wonder what draws the line between a vault system and a septic system.
It has to be approved. It has to be, it's only allowed if if an engineer says that a normal septic system will not
Work.
work in their situation.
So
They
it's
won't approve a vault on one that could have a septic.
Correct.
What you're saying, you always have to have a septic field
Correct.
unless.
and where in the scheme of things is the decision made? Does an engineer have to look at all septic permits applications?
I think only if they're requesting for a vault or a variance of any kind.
Like if it won't perk, then it has to look at it and sign off on a vault or a engineered field.
Correct.
Well, so we're gonna have to figure out how to handle it.
Right, and to me, once again, I know that we had no contamination at all with our properties from our composting toilet. I mean, it worked amazingly well for 4 years. And it seems like at some time it would have broken down someplace if it wasn't working.
It sounds like Colorado doesn't care about that.
Not very much.
Colorado just thinks the only people that live in the hills are right around the Denver area, you know,
Yeah,
realize all this rural area.
that's true.
It's probably so.
And I guess maybe that's a recommendation you could make and we can talk about it later. We can't, because we're not gonna do it here.
Sure.
It's not on the agenda item, but the recommendation could be like, make it real on the sale of a piece of property. That's when you make sure it has a legal system. We should not have to conform otherwise. Unless you want to come in and say you want a water test on everybody. But on a sale of a house, you get a water test.
And that's something we could do. I don't believe that the assessor's office is notified until after the fact.
So
It could be lost.
The first person that's notified is the owner of the mortgage company. Because you wouldn't buy it with a, if it's contaminated water, that's today's law. But, we could, as a county, we can always say, all right, everybody don't have to go get a test. Watch your own expense, $80 a pop, I think it is, it might be more.
Well, it seems like Dorothy and I can sit down with one of the engineers and kind of come up with a plan or some options for you guys to say yay or nay.
You think, Kevin?
Yeah, I was just kind of sitting here thinking, so some of those are, so these never did have a permitted system. So you probably have some in the system that were permitted at some point and now may not meet current specs, correct? But that's a whole different issue.
Could be a
That's
different system that they
yes.
put in, yeah.
That's, yeah. Very much. so.
Which would be where you catch them on the sale of the house.
But
Some of them, I'm sure, like this one here, she has down that I've already been in contact with. So some of them, for whatever reason, I've already been in contact with them about it.
Sure.
Not very many though.
So you could, that's one, we got options, because you got these subdivisions that are 100-foot lots, and you could. If you're worried about them being so close together, we could ask for a water, that's an option that you could present, and then the sale of the property for everything else. That you know, maybe 2-acre lots you're happy with.
So you're thinking just test the water anytime at the sale of a real, they sell. their
No, I would say
place?
the minute they sell it, then they gotta conform. That was the whole point. And if they're a 100-foot lot, that means an engineered field or a fault. That would be an option, and we'd have to consider, because that has implications from money to people, the citizens of the county, and whether their, you know, vault is good enough or a compost toilet could be enough. Well, it can't be in the state now, but. Anyway, good thought.
and these are all residents, as you said, they all have a residence on this.
Yes,
Are they residences?
Dwelling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
they
you,
all
sir.
have a dwelling of some type, whether it be a camper or something.
And they're not necessarily full-time.
I don't have that.
We don't know.
answer.
The guy that called me to ask about it comes in, like I said, 2 or 3 days a month, and he has a storage shed for his chainsaws and so on, but it's not a residence.
Right.
And he had a neighbor who was complaining because he didn't have a septic field. Well,
So, okay,
And he can't live in a shed. He can't sleep in that shed unless,
that's right. So, okay, so we don't need to talk, I mean, we're just brainstorming now, so. I think you need to come up with some options and come to another meeting.
Okay.
In the meantime, if you're worried about certain houses, there's no reason why you can't go and check.
we'll do.
You're a sanitarian.
I will do that.
Any other thoughts? Okay,
No.
anything else you want to surprise us with?
The only other, from a sanitarian standpoint, was Dr. Brown let me know that one of our meat processing places in town was having blood run down the street. So I did talk to them. I just went and gave.
Was
them
it leaking out of the garbage can or what?
Yeah, it was
Just
leaking
figuring
out of the dumpster.
Why are they throwing blood in the dumpster?
I didn't get a.
Was it
speak to
blood or
that.
was it the
It was blood.
offal?
it's actually, you know, what I saw from photographs is they literally slaughtered out in the back in the alley. And so,
Bleeding out there and that's odd.
yeah, that was a little odd.
It
'cause
sounds
kids
like a
were
town of
playing
Westcliff
there.
issue. Doesn't it? I mean, it is.
We were both kind of unsure if that fell under me or the town of Westcliff. So I went ahead, I just,
Here, the county sanitarian covers everything.
Right.
But from their point of view, you know, you got septic systems in the town. And if they're not conforming with what their ordinances are here, it's the Westcliff problem.
hopefully they cleaned it up. I have not had a chance to get by there and see. Again, they promised me they would take care of it. And I was gonna go by last weekend and didn't make it back there, but.
For some reason, I think the county sanitarian has jurisdiction over both
She
municipalities.
does. do.
Only realize.
Yeah.
But your jurisdiction, that's right, if it's a health problem. But as far as systems go and how they handle the blood, you know, the town needs to care too.
And I want to say that they were aware of it, but I'm not sure that it. I think it fell back on me, so.
Yeah.
I spoke to somebody, but I honestly can't remember their name without
Okay.
my notes. But, yeah,
Then did you have another outfit that was not conforming and you sent them a cease and desist recently?
Oh, yeah, that was the owner of a trailer that had been rented out.
He was arguing about it,
Yeah, she was
or she.
questioning. And the person who rented the trailer had been asking for more than 6 months for some help that had been promised when she rented the trailer. She actually went through the floor, just walking across. There are open copper wires in this place. There are holes in the roof. I mean, it was not a question. And the town of West Cliff stepped in and did help out on this. And that- I have a copy of the action that has been taken.
now is that something I should have stepped in?
You're okay. This one was just blatant.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
okay. I'm good.
That's all I have.
Anything?
Thank you.
Good job. You're just picking scabs everywhere.
I know.
No,
I miss you guys. I just have to keep coming back.
You miss it. Yeah, you do. Okay, Custer County Public Health Monthly Report. Dr. Brown, there's several things you want to talk about.
Yes, sir, I do. If a couple of things just to kind of start off with, because you see some of these notes in the paper and on TV and going on Facebook and so on. The withdrawal essentially from our state from the federal government's emergency plans for COVID and for monkeypox. Those things do make sense. Governor Polis did extend for a month the quote unquote emergency declaration, because during that month, it's just one more month where all those dollars, he gets reimbursed, we get reimbursed for 90% from the federal government. So what he was just doing is making sense of this, actually getting as much money as we could to support us, and the rest of it falls
All the
back.
counties.
Yes, all the counties. So this is straight across. But it falls back in the state. So then everybody starts getting real tight with the money. So I just wanted you to know, there's been no change as far as the monkeypox, quote unquote. It has dropped from 126 or so from last month, then this month.
In the state of Colorado.
In the state of Colorado, yeah, not here. I'll get to that. Starting from the big ones going down to the micro. And it dropped down into the 70s, into the mid 70s. So this whole thing is dropping. And that's again what we were told even yesterday.
Okay.
So if you want those numbers, I have them, but I don't want to inundate you with numbers. No changes as far as the treatment, no changes as far as the diagnosis. And we do have various sites that have been identified for anybody who thinks that they might need to be tested because of contact or because of signs and symptoms. Any questions there, Jim?
And that's the general information. bullet.
That is, yes, that's the kind of first page. Second page I found very interesting because we frequently have discouraging remarks made about some of the health-based members in our, or excuse me, religious-based members and organizations in our county. I found this international study very, very interesting. Second page there, I think on your notes.
Yeah, you got spiritually, religionally.
Yes, Dr. Princess C. Brewer of the Mayo Clinic, which is quite highly respected. They went through an NIH funded the Jackson Heart study, 5,000 men and women in Jackson, Mississippi area, found that there was a significant, statistically significant difference between those who were involved in more religious and spiritual activities and perspectives tended to have better measures of overall heart health. And since a lot of people die from heart disease, this is, to me, kind of interesting of note. They have 12% better odds of having ideal or intermediate loss scores. So they were just rating on, excellent, ideal, intermediate, or less than acceptable. And the whole scoring ended up showing the same thing very, very consistently. So just for your information, for community information.
So there was a comment that religious people were,
Well, I've heard numerous comments from numerous people in the valley. Those guys, they're just, kind of off the wall. And that's, this is an international study that says exactly the opposite.
okay,
It gives a validity for an approach to health.
okay.
So that's why I voted. Okay, the next, any questions, gentlemen?
No.
You want more specifics? I can give you a whole big study if you'd like.
No,
Okay, the next thing I wanted to bring up. You'll see typical costs associated with one heart attack. I phoned our EMS and verified it as late as this morning again. And she said, if you have a heart attack and have to be flown out of here, if you can't get the not-for-profit organization to fly you out, you get a for-profit organization. It costs you $60,000 just for the flight. Not anything to do with the medication, the surgery, treatment modalities, the stents, anything else that's going on. I mean, it is a very costly thing. So like I said, from almost nothing, if you happen to live next to a clinic and you just walk in, that's about $30,000. If you have to start traveling, you start adding on lots of expenses, and depending what's wrong with you, it just explodes. I mean, I hate to think of some of our valley residents having to pay, because there's deductible, not just those who are not insured at all. So I've tried to highlight for you, for instance, cardiac arrest hospital admission, $16,700 per stay. That's just an average. That's not high.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you're making a point here that unless you take care of yourself, you're looking at a lot of cost if you don't. So what are you proposing? That
My-
public health, the
Yeah,
Department of
my
Health
thought here
teach
is
people how to do better health?
exactly. We can help with nutrition. We can help with activity. We can help when people have questions about their health, questions about their family hereditary type of tree and predispositions, things they should worry about, what signs they should
So are
worry
you
about.
doing that now? You've got a
Yes.
program in mind?
Yes, and those are the programs that I'm trying to get instituted here.
Okay,
Okay, but my thought on the bottom is that it's much less expensive to treat.
prevented.
Yeah. So the preventive.
So how are you
aspect-
getting that to the public?
Well, right now, what I'm trying to do with Peggy, who was just here, what I want to do is set up with various organizations, educational programs. Okay, schools, but also like
Health
the,
department or the
yeah,
fire
the
department.
livestock rodeos, ranching club, women's, so on. And so I thought that would be something. The second out of three that I'm going to just mention to you briefly, the lifetime cost for each victim of a child maltreatment who has lived was about $210,000. So with all the incarcerations, with the drug abuse, with the, hauling them in, trying to get them treated, trying to get them with medications, plus what frequently ends up with a life of robbery and crime to get more medications, and besides the cost to their families, because they will act out as they've been taught by the mentors, by the fathers and mothers, or aunts and uncles, or whoever. So we can, the next person that I want to introduce to you guys is Deb Carl. And she is the one that I've brought in specifically because she has years of experience in dealing with early childhood, maternal, teaching mothers how to nurse, what's happening, read the signs to save the kids. We had a 2-month-old, I can't give any more information on that for obvious reasons. But a 2-month-old die and the kid looked fine. And they said, what in the world? So the doctors went in and said, well, actually, the mom was nursing. She was doing all the breastfeeding, everything that seemed the best, but she wasn't producing the milk. The kid literally starved, and then other systems shut down and he died. And that was awful. I hated it. So Nurse Carl is being brought in because she has all this experience to teach moms when they're having problems nursing, to teach them what to do with their own nutritional support for the child while they're carrying them. And then for the 3-month period after, it's called a 4 trimester, which doesn't make sense at all to have tri and 4, but it's the next 3 months when the kids are infants, when they're first born, trying to get them safe, get them on the right path, and then all the way through and into grade school.
For one day a week class.
Yeah, for one day, or if they have problems, they can phone her, they can get in contact, they can ask questions, they can get immediate responses. They're not having to wait for some system through the valley. So anyway, those are two of the things that I wanted to mention. And the child abuse frequently, and I've dealt in 2008, I presented to the U.S. Surgeon General, and she said, absolutely, I've seen this over and over again. When you don't have an understanding of things and the kid's crying all the time and the wife is at wit's end tearing her hair out trying to take care of the kids and they don't have money and so on, a lot of that ends up with abuse of the woman, abuse of the child, and sometimes abuse of the dad.
Okay.
So nobody's free, and it's not it's not just the poor people, it's not just the rich people, it's right across the spectrum.
Sounds like a good idea.
So trying to get into that, and for that, I was allowed to join as a voting member that Colorado Childhood Abuse Prevention Program. And we literally determine programs that are working well and provide money. It's kind of like Tom or opioid governance thing. It's that same type of thing, where you look at the programs and you try to fit them to the counties and the jurisdictions. Anyway, I went up to the fentanyl. You've all heard of the fentanyl crisis and deaths and so on.
It's not overdosing.
It's not over. It is a poison. And on a lot of these pills, the kids have no clue in the world what is going on. They have no clue they're even ingesting fentanyl.
You have a 2 o'clock deadline, right? We all.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay.
Okay, I'm very trying. We'll get to that. Okay, so anyway, that's one. I went up to the Denver fentanyl. It's a CHCP committee up in Denver and attended their summit. We've also had our opioid settlement governance committees working on that to try to help out not only for the opioids, but the false, the pseudo chemically produced things like fentanyl.
Okay.
And there's one that is between 50 and 100 times stronger than that is now being done in the United States. I'll just drop it at that. If you guys have any specific questions, I'm serving right now. Tom is serving on another committee. I'm serving on the behavioral aspect for getting people in here because it's kind of costly to be here and a lot of people can't afford it. So we want to get our providers in here so they can help these people out, help out the families before the problem.
We have a fentanyl problem here. Yeah.
Fentanyl is used. That's about all I can.
Medically or because
No, it's
in
not.
candy.
Yeah, it's in other things.
Here, we've seen it in this candy.
And I don't want anything to go on. And this is kind of the judgment that has been purported or promoted by Patrick Fiore, and he's just excellent. He works through all 4 of our counties. But anyway, And this is to go in and tell the kids, if you see your friend lying on the floor, loss of consciousness, do not hesitate to call us at the sheriff's department. Do not hesitate to call us at the public health department. Whatever, we have medication. They're in the schools. We have medication in the library. We have medication. Anybody will take it here in town because it can save that kid's life.
They have enough so that, because it wears off in 30 minutes.
Well, yeah, but by that time you can shoot them again. I mean, it's just.
I
a
know,
nose
but as
spray.
long as you have it.
Yes, we have, and we don't hand it out in a single dose. We hand it out in duplicate doses. But by that time, you can get them in, but they're not going to be prosecuted. They're going to be helped. And it's, so I don't want the kids scared. Our EPR deliverables, we are advancing those, getting all the trainings. We're doing training and everything on time. Also supporting EOM and their programs, and for hazard mitigation, I submitted four different suggestions for them, things that the Valley really needs to worry about.
EOM.
Office, that's emergency, that's what Adrian is.
Oh, yeah.
It's OEM.
OEM.
I was trying to make. is it
Dyslexia,
another-
strike,
okay.
you know, numerous
Just
times.
checking.
Oh, yeah. OEMs are actually extraocular muscles, but I won't say anything.
I hear you.
Okay, the environmental health programs and the lab studies with the skunks, with the bats. It's kind of sometimes stinks to high heaven, but generally, everything is being taken care of through CDPHE. I actually collect the samples, the heads or whatever.
I know we've got a lot of bats this year for some reason.
We've
Maybe
had
it's the moisture.
more than our usually. I can't even guess why, but anyway. We have had nothing go on record as far as any monkeypox positives since the very first one that was registered, and we have not been asked to help in the treatment there. For our COVID tests, the money there is drying up from the feds, and so people are going to fairly quickly, within a month, 2 months or so, no longer be able to get free home testing kits. So if you're going to get them for your house or for your friends or grandmother or somebody, please stop by and get them.
So have we had a lot of requests for tests?
Oh, man.
So this is something that's gonna have to be put out that.
Somehow,
Like
yes,
talk
yes.
with, maybe you
yes,
already are.
for a press release. Okay, the bivalent vaccine, I wrote a long, exhausting letter, and they probably got so tired of the time to get through reading it, and they sent us the vaccine, but we were given 100 doses because remember, it's been publicized that they didn't have enough. They sent us 300 this time instead of the 100. So we have some doses right now. We've gone through our whole waiting list. We have other people that are coming in, so we have it right now, and we're giving it out in the office.
There's a shelf life issue.
The bivalent,
So you got more than we need right now. It lasts for a while.
it'll last for a while, but if we do not use it all, and from every prediction I see here, we're going to be using it all because we're just full. We will send it to another county, so we have a transfer agreement. Questions on that, gentlemen? It seems to be, and we don't have millions of people in a study someplace, but it seems that there is more strength in the kind of response to this bivalent, the one with the Omicron portion of the protein in it, than the others, that we've had no deaths that have been reported. So we will see.
Meaning people are feeling bad taking.
Yeah, just like when I took my second dose of the original, I was sick for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, state bus will be here tomorrow. And this is going out into the Facebook also, on the webpage. We'll be here tomorrow. They will not be here again until the 4th of November. They're here between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Same time, same station there in the upper parking lot in school.
On the 30th.
Yeah,
Friday.
so 30th, that's tomorrow, and then again on the 4th of December, not October, but December. So we won't have any buses. They're the ones that have been bringing us the Pfizer.
You said December.
Yes.
For
December,
December.
For December. 04 December 2022. And at that point, from then on, from what we've been told, at least so far, they keep trying, that we may not have any more buses. The people who wanted to have Pfizer would have to go outside the county. Okay. The influenza system, and season is here. So we're giving lots. I mean, today we're just inundated with flu vaccines, or shingles vaccines, or whatever, TB or whatever we have to have. Shingles, I mentioned shingles, but Hep A, for people who are traveling outside the United States, particularly, if they'll just give me a call, I will make sure that I get the most accurate, up-to-date information, what that particular country is demanding, so we don't get there and have all sorts of hassle directly vacation. We've had between 0 and 4, usually around 2, sometimes down to 1, but positive COVIDs, but these have 0 hospitalizations, 0 deaths. So we're not in that entwined situation with people really getting sick. People are sick symptomatically, but it's not the long shot. It's not killing. Suicide prevention courses we took 2 weeks ago, took the whole faculty from the agency there and went through a suicide prevention intervention course in Canyon City. Sherry is currently, for anybody who wants it, giving the ACLS, the BLS, the CPR, AEDs, to be able to handle first aid. So if you get in trouble, or you see somebody in trouble, somebody collapse, you come in and they're on the floor, you can do something about it.
So you're gonna do a program then to help?
We are.
Essentially, you've
yeah.
taken a class to know how to do it.
Actually, she is giving the classes. She is an instructor. We have now 2 instructors out of our nursing pool. And so we are giving classes for everybody in the valley who wants it.
How are they gonna know that? Is that being published somehow?
We have put it out, but we will.
Can you talk
also
to the
have it-
school and get?
Yes, we've already got.
Program,
it.
so you're gonna have some kind of routine.
We have.
Okay.
The truck and trailer mobile clinic that we've been preparing is advancing. And I finally have some time set aside with Chris at the mobile shop to finish up our van. So we will have those things done within most likely the next 2 months. Okay, questions, gentlemen? Something I haven't covered, or questions about things that we have?
I've got one.
Sure.
How are you gonna pay for these nurses?
We're already paying for it. We have them out of the ELS funds, but understanding that those go away. But one of the reasons that I brought this up is that it saves our county hundreds of thousands of dollars if we will start to pay. None of them are getting even minimum salaries.
The point is, your
to
point
Pueblo.
is,
My point is, I want.
they know that it could go away if.
That's right, exactly. I don't want to lose these programs. This will save lives for our county residents.
And that's resonating with the people that you're giving the grants, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So if they want to go down the hill, what, 45 minutes, 50 minutes drive to Pueblo, they can earn $69 an hour. We can't even come close to that. But we need to have that kind of expertise. We do have it here for less than half, of what they would earn down there. So I just want to let you know that we will have consequences that could be other than what we want. If we don't.
Sounds like it's a good thing that the grants are designed to help with, so it's good.
Yes,
As
sir.
long as they keep.
And you know that I go for everything I can get. I will try to extend that as long as I can. I just don't know how long they're gonna allow me to go on. And, you know, I've been told that, you know, realize that their salaries are gonna drop when we can't pay them. Well, we can pay, we can pay more, but I don't want to pay more, given their first responses, that's the lowest salary I've ever received in my life. So, well, you're in a, yeah, you're in a different place, different time, but this is all we can afford. So I'm trying to keep the expenses down. My Scottish heritage does, I squeak when I walk. You know, somebody remember that old song out of World War II? The Scotch Marines went over the top. They thought they heard a nickel drop. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Anyway, but I'm trying to prepare you that
Okay.
all of the information that I put out here and for you guys, I'm gonna need to have, even though it's 1 day a week or 2 days a week, I need to be able to provide this paper.
Return on investment.
Yes, sir. Anyway, Tom, does that answer your question?
I'm assuming, yeah, grants, whichever ones they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So when those go away, I'm gonna be trying to use all of the money, which I've not tried to do. I've tried not to use all the money that has been in our grant, or excuse me, our budget,
Right.
so that we would have, and it was $18,000 last year and 16,000 it's already gone back this year. But those will pay pretty well for a 1 day a week nurse the whole picking year. I mean, it's really a good deal for what we get. Anything else? Well,
I think I'm good.
Clint, are you happy? If you're happy, Jennifer's happy.
I am.
I'm happy.
everybody's happy. Okay, and we're before 2 o'clock.
She did it in 55 minutes.
Scary.
So we don't have any old business. We don't have any new things yet to talk about. Any public comment? Anybody online? Raising a hand.
Patty's the only one online, but she's not raising her hand.
Okay. And anything else? If not, I'll adjourn this meeting at 3 minutes to 2 on the official clock.
15:57. 14:57.
You're an old